It is the year 2025. The world has long forgotten the true horror of nuclear disaster. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, silent, decaying, overgrown with trees and ghosts of the past, stands as a monument to human arrogance. For decades, it remained dormant, a scar frozen in time. Until now, at 3:17 a.m. on a quiet spring morning, a deep tremor shakes the ground beneath northern Ukraine. In the darkness, a faint blue light flickers over the ruins of Reactor 4. Then, a blinding flash tears through the night sky. Chernobyl has exploded again. The first few seconds are incomprehensible. A shock wave rips through the air, shattering windows in the abandoned city of Pripyat and beyond. A pillar of fire rises into the sky, hotter than the surface of the sun. Debris and molten metal rain down across the exclusion zone. Sensors from Poland to Belarus register a seismic event, but no one yet realizes what has just happened. By 3:30 a.m., satellites orbiting Earth detect a surge of radiation, levels unseen since 1986. Within minutes, alarms begin to sound in control centers across Europe. In Kyiv, operators in an underground facility exchange terrified glances. The impossible has just become reality. Governments scramble for answers. Phones ring in Berlin, in London, in Washington. But the information is fragmented, unclear. All anyone knows is that radiation clouds are already moving west. The wind, strong and merciless, carries the invisible death toward Europe. By dawn, the explosion footage begins to surface online. Tourists camping miles away record a flash, so bright it turns night into day. Social media fills with confusion. Some claim it's an attack, others a natural disaster. But one word starts trending across the world: Chernobyl. The first responders, a small group of Ukrainian firefighters stationed near the zone, are the first to arrive. They are unaware of the true danger. As they approach the ruins of Reactor 4, their meters begin to scream. Radiation is off the charts. They see twisted steel, glowing dust, and a familiar, haunting light emanating from the core. One man whispers, "It's happening again." By 8 a.m., dozens of workers and emergency teams have been dispatched. They wore protective suits, but not nearly enough. Radiation burns begin to appear within hours. Helicopters circle the area, trying to assess the scale of the explosion. But the smoke is thick, black, and filled with cesium, iodine, plutonium. Every second spent nearby is a death sentence. Satellite images show a massive plume stretching hundreds of kilometers. The atmosphere above Chernobyl glows faintly, a deadly aurora. Experts at the International Atomic Energy Agency wake to their worst nightmare. The reactor, long thought stable and sealed, has suffered a catastrophic failure. Old concrete walls, corroded, weakened by decades of neglect, couldn't contain the ancient, smoldering heart of the disaster. But this time, it's not just one reactor. Stored nuclear waste from the entire site, nearly 200 tons of radioactive material, has been scattered into the atmosphere. Particles of uranium and plutonium drift like snowflakes, invisible but lethal. Each one capable of killing in silence. By midday, radiation monitors in Poland spike, then in Germany, then in Sweden, Denmark, and the Czech Republic. Europe is being poisoned once again. And this time it's far worse. Airports close. Borders shut down. The European Union declares a state of nuclear emergency. People rush to buy iodine tablets, gas masks, bottled water. But panic spreads faster than radiation. The Ukrainian government orders a mass evacuation of northern regions. Millions are told to leave. Roads become rivers of cars, trucks, and terrified families. Helicopters drop sand and boron over the site, a desperate attempt to contain the fire. But it's not enough. By nightfall, the wind shifts again, and radioactive clouds move south, toward Turkey, Romania, and the Black Sea. Sensors in Istanbul begin to pick up faint traces of radiation. News channels cut their programs. The world watches as the nightmare unfolds. In the United States, scientists calculate worst-case scenarios. If the fallout continues, the Northern Hemisphere could face contamination across 2 continents. The skies above Europe begin to dim, not from clouds, but from radioactive dust reflecting sunlight. Flights are grounded. Rain becomes toxic. And yet, people still don't understand the full scale of what's coming. At 11 p.m., the second explosion occurs. A deeper, more violent detonation erupts from the core remains of Reactor 4. It's the sound of a dying monster releasing its final breath. Sensors across the world record another spike, this time higher than anything measured in modern history. The Chernobyl site glows once again, a radioactive sun on Earth. The day ends with silence, but not peace. The winds are changing direction again, and the fallout is about to spread farther than ever before. The following morning, Europe wakes to a new reality. Governments across the continent activate emergency broadcast systems. Civil defense sirens wail through cities that haven't heard them since the Cold War. The sound is a warning of invisible death. People pour into supermarkets, pharmacies, gas stations. There are no rules now, only fear. Iodine tablets vanish within minutes. Gas masks are sold on the black market for thousands of dollars. Families seal their windows with duct tape and plastic sheets, praying it will be enough. At 8 a.m., European weather satellites show the radioactive cloud moving west at 40 kilometers per hour. Over Poland, it splits into 2 separate plumes, one heading toward Germany, the other sweeping south into Romania and the Balkans. Meteorologists realize something terrifying. Rainstorms are forming directly under the radioactive path. The fallout will not just drift, it will fall. By noon, radioactive rain begins to fall over Warsaw. The droplets sizzle on car roofs like acid. People running through the streets don't yet understand what's happening. They think it's just rain. But each drop carries the death of 1 million cells. In Germany, schools close. Trains stop. Berlin's government orders everyone indoors. But the panic cannot be contained. Thousands try to flee south toward the Alps, believing the mountains will protect them. They are wrong. Across Eastern Europe, hospitals begin to fill. People suffering from nausea, vomiting, burns. Doctors recognize the symptoms immediately. Acute radiation sickness. It's 1986 all over again, but this time on a continental scale. Meanwhile, in Moscow, the Kremlin releases an official statement. They claim sabotage, a foreign attack on Ukrainian soil. NATO denies it. Accusations fly, and the world edges closer to chaos. The UN calls an emergency meeting. Satellite imagery shows a radiation belt stretching from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. European leaders realize the fallout will reach the Atlantic within days. By that time, hundreds of millions could be affected. In Istanbul, radiation levels spike by afternoon. News spreads through social media faster than officials can react. People wear masks, cover their hair, stay indoors. But the fear is already inside them. Over the next 48 hours, radioactive dust crosses the Mediterranean. In Athens, the Acropolis glows faintly under a gray sun. In Rome, rain carries isotopes of cesium and strontium. Tourists flee in panic. Flights are canceled. Europe is sealed off from the rest of the world. Meanwhile, the internet fills with conspiracy theories. Some claim the explosion was intentional, part of a global depopulation plan. Others believe it was an accident triggered by leftover fuel rods collapsing under age and corrosion. No one knows for sure, but everyone agrees on one thing: the world has changed forever. By day 3, the radiation cloud reaches France and the UK. Rainwater tests in Paris show contamination levels 300 times above safe limits. The Eiffel Tower stands empty. Streets once filled with tourists now echo with the sound of sirens and wind. The British government issues a national shelter-in-place order. Citizens are told to stay indoors for at least 10 days. But supplies are limited. Water becomes precious. Every bottle is tested for radiation. In the Atlantic Ocean, massive cargo ships turn around, refusing to dock at European ports. Trade stops. Stock markets crash. Oil prices skyrocket. Within a week, global economic collapse begins. But far to the east, something even more alarming happens. Wind currents shift north, carrying the radioactive plume over Russia, Finland, and the Arctic Circle. Scientists detect isotopes falling on Greenland's ice sheet. For the first time, radioactive snow begins to fall on the North Pole. Animals start to die. Birds drop from the sky mid-flight. Reindeer and elk collapse in contaminated forests. Fish wash ashore by the thousands. The ecosystem begins to unravel. Satellite photos show Europe darkening. Not from night, but from soot and ash. The cloud, thick with radioactive particles, blocks sunlight, dropping temperatures by several degrees. It's a nuclear winter, without the war. Meanwhile, across the ocean, North America braces for impact. NASA confirms that in 6 days, trace radiation will reach the eastern coast of the United States. President declares a national emergency. Air filters, masks, and iodine are rationed. People begin hoarding food and fuel. The same panic spreads again. But Chernobyl's fire is still burning. No one can get close enough to extinguish it. Robots fail due to extreme heat and radiation. Helicopters disintegrate in midair. The core burns hotter than it did in 1986. And the longer it burns, the more death it releases. By the end of the first week, over 20 European nations have declared martial law. Curfews, military patrols, food shortages, looting. Humanity begins to turn on itself. In some cities, riots break out as people demand evacuation. But where can they go? There is no safe place. Every country is facing the same invisible threat. Borders are closed. Airspace is restricted. The world is trapped inside a radioactive cage. By day 10, radiation readings reach the Himalayas. Even Mount Everest is dusted with fallout. Scientists warn that global contamination is now irreversible. The Earth has become a single, shared reactor, slowly poisoning itself. And in the midst of it all lies the burning core of Chernobyl, still glowing, still breathing, a monument to mankind's final mistake. Day 15. Europe has fallen silent. The streets are empty. The air is heavy with the metallic taste of dust and decay. Radiation lingers in every breath. The wind carries the whispers of billions of particles, each one a messenger of death. Cities that once glowed with life now shimmer faintly under a toxic sky. Paris, Berlin, Warsaw, ghost cities, haunted not by the dead, but by the dying. Infrastructure collapses rapidly. Power plants fail. Water systems become contaminated. Food runs out within days. The modern world, built on convenience and connection, unravels in silence. Internet connections flicker and die. Only fragments of communication remain, faint voices echoing through shortwave radios. Across Europe, survivors share warnings, coordinates, and desperate pleas for help. But no help ever comes. In Eastern Europe, mass migrations begin. Millions walk south toward what they believe is safety, carrying their children, their memories, and little else. Along highways and railways, endless caravans of humanity crawl forward. Their skin blistered, their eyes red from dust and radiation. Some wear masks. Others simply close their mouths and pray. Governments are powerless. Military convoys block roads, but soldiers themselves are sick, coughing blood through their masks. Some desert their posts. Some shoot themselves rather than die slowly. Law collapses. Humanity turns savage. In London, chaos reigns. People break into government shelters. Hospitals are stormed for medicine. Fires burn through the city's core, fueled by desperation. The iconic skyline, Big Ben, the London Eye, glows beneath a gray-red haze. It's beautiful and horrifying. By day 20, the death toll surpasses 10 million. Not from the initial blast, but from hunger, radiation, and panic. The world's media collapses under the weight of fear. There are no broadcasts, only static. No headlines, only silence. Meanwhile, in underground bunkers, world leaders debate the future of civilization. Should they rebuild? Should they leave the surface behind? Or should humanity accept extinction as its final lesson? The answers vary, but one truth remains constant. The Earth is dying faster than anyone predicted. In Russia, a nuclear chain reaction begins across abandoned reactors. Cooling systems fail as engineers die or flee. More explosions follow, smaller but deadly. Each one releases another wave of poison into the atmosphere. A self-sustaining apocalypse. The northern hemisphere becomes a graveyard. Forests die. Rivers glow faintly at night. Animals vanish. The soil itself becomes sterile. By day 30, the Earth's rotation carries radioactive dust around the globe. Japan detects the fallout. China closes its borders. Australia bans all imports. But radiation respects no borders. It seeps through the air, through the rain, through the oceans. In America, panic begins to mirror Europe's collapse. Supermarkets are stripped bare. Cities descend into riots. People turn on each other for water, for fuel, for food. And all the while, the invisible dust keeps falling. Religious movements rise. Prophets appear, declaring this the second end. Some say humanity is being punished. Others say it is simply the consequence of arrogance. But everyone, believers or not, looks to the sky in fear. By day 45, the temperature drops 5 degrees globally. Crops fail. Rain becomes rare. The world slips into a premature winter. A nuclear winter, born not of war, but of negligence. The survivors, those who remain, live underground. Subway tunnels, old bunkers, parking structures. Children are born beneath concrete ceilings, never knowing sunlight. They call it the gray world. But even underground, they are not safe. Radiation seeps downward. Air filters clog. Food supplies dwindle. And one by one, the shelters fall silent. By the second month, 70% of Earth's surface is contaminated. The oceans shimmer with traces of plutonium. Whales and dolphins wash ashore, their bodies swollen, glowing faintly in the dark. The natural world begins to dissolve. And yet, in the middle of all this ruin, the Chernobyl reactor still burns. Its light can be seen from orbit, a wound on the planet that refuses to close. The fire is eternal now, a symbol of what mankind has done to itself. 1 year later, the world is quiet. Too quiet. Cities lie in ruins beneath a pale, ghostly sky. Nature has begun to reclaim what humanity has lost, but it is a poisoned inheritance. In the ruins of Pripyat, trees grow through buildings. Vines crawl over rusted Ferris wheels and broken windows. Animals wander freely, wolves, deer, wild horses. But they are not the same. Their fur glows faintly in the dark. Their eyes shimmer like embers. Scientists, the few who survived in underground stations, call it the Radiant Age. The Earth has adapted, mutated, changed. What once was human territory is now ruled by silence and mutation. A small group of survivors ventures out from bunkers every few weeks. They wear makeshift armor, scavenging through the ruins for canned food and batteries. They speak little, conserving oxygen. The air is still deadly. They mark the safe paths with chalk arrows, leading others who might still live. And in the distance, Chernobyl still glows. The sarcophagus, now shattered, pulses like a dying heart. Some say it whispers. Others claim to hear voices from within, calling for help. The truth is, no one dares go near it anymore. Those who do never return. Above Earth, satellites orbit a dead world. Their solar panels coated in dust. Their cameras capturing endless gray. From space, the continents look bruised, scarred, fading. Decades pass. The planet cools. Radiation settles into the soil, the oceans, the bones of the earth. The cycle of life continues, but without us. One day, far in the future, a beam of light pierces the clouds over Chernobyl. The last surviving drone captures it, a single frame. A shimmering blue glow rising from the reactor's heart. Then, darkness. No one knows what it was. Energy? Resurrection? Or the final breath of a planet remembering what it used to be. And so, Chernobyl remains, not just as a memory, but as a warning written in fire and dust. It is the grave of progress, the end of arrogance, and the beginning of silence. As the winds blow softly through the ruins of humanity, one can almost hear the echo of the past. The sound of laughter engines life, fading beneath the hum of radiation. This is what would happen if Chernobyl exploded today.